You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
This week's episode, our Futures Game Week, our Draft Week, our All-Star Week episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. My name is Tyler Mon. So much has changed since the last time that I was on this show. I am looking at two be-haircutted co-hosts of mine, Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill. Sam Dykstra was on national TV, tarps off. This is a wild. John Oliver rebranded a minor league team. There's been so much that has gone on since I left to celebrate I heard Sam say, I might want to acknowledge the age of my 25th birthday the last couple of weeks. Wild stuff, man. But we welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. Sam, do you have like a fan club now? Are you getting like love note, like a Tiger Beat sort of thing for you?
Not that I'm aware of. Everybody I've come across in
maybe
the
it's at the Rough Riders.
What?
The Rough Riders could have it. You don't know.
They could. They could.
Sam Dykstra fan club, courtesy of the Frisco Rough Riders.
Maybe they're just collecting all the notes that they have been sent in the weeks since I was there.
Right.
Everybody I've come across in the office has brought it up in one form or another. I had an MLB Network hit again this week, which went well. We were talking about the draft, and we'll talk about the draft again later. And Mark DeRosa, he and I had been chatting about the draft in between commercials, so we were rounding out the interview, and he's like, I'm going to be on the show, the draft show over the weekend. I've been doing a lot of prep. I just have, one final question for you. When I'm looking at who should go number one overall, I got to say, somebody who's got the courage to jump in the Frisco Rough Riders lazy river on national television, that's the guts I want at number one overall. And I was just,
I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree.
I should have seen it coming. Like, once I gave them that content, they're just going to use it forever every time I'm on MLB Network now. It was not my most well thought out maneuver. I probably should have brought a swimming shirt of some sort. The question that was asked to me was, what SPF do I use? Is it SPF 2000?
Yeah.
And it certainly looked like it on the day with my Dutch Irish skin.
The farmer's tan was incredible. It was
in all its glory. It was.
That was like circa 2001 Tyler Mon, where like the only sun that my body saw was during baseball practice. So it's just like, from the calves down and from the sleeves up was just blindingly pale.
Yeah, that's my entire life, Tyler. That's not just me in 2002.
You've seen my wife. I'm very familiar with extremely pale people. Well, it was amazing being overseas and seeing my social media feed just clogged with Sam Dykstra shirtless on national television content was incredible. Benjamin Hill, been traveling around, also a haircut, also looks fantastic. No shirtless appearances, at least as of recently on national TV. But I remember back in the day, Ben got in the lazy river, and I think, did you do a subversive ballpark vine joke from the river once?
I might have. I have a baseball card, 2018 Topps Pro debut of me shirtless on the lazy river. So,
ironically, that it was Topps, of course.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was no Topps. It was Topps-less.
Topps-less. Yeah. So I was really happy to see Sam shirtless in the lazy river, and I couldn't quite help but feel like that was continuing my legacy a little bit, or that I'd maybe paved the way for employees of this company to appear. Yeah, I walked so Sam could run. And hey, look it up on eBay. You can probably get that card for I doubt more than $2 or $3. So if you want a shirtless Ben Hill card, and then ask me for my address, I'll sign it right across the chest. I mean, that's a keepsake to pass along through the generations. Me shirtless on the lazy river. But yeah, it was great to see Sam do it. I did not do it on TV. I was enjoying seeing Sam get roasted, which is Skim was far from it, but
It was being roasted in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was
that's
some
true.
funny, if there been anything mean, truly mean, then I would have snapped into like, nah, you don't talk about
Nobody
my
talks about
friend
our
Simba.
Sammy that way.
But for the most part, it was like lighthearted jabs, and I was laughing at some of the comments. One that said, "Why is your skin the same color as the concrete?" And it was like almost the exact same tone from the concrete by the pool to Sam itself. It was
Sam, I have to ask this question because I have met your lovely girlfriend, Brittany. What was Brittany's thought on this? Or have you hidden this from Brittany and she has no idea? Brittany
no,
has a
she,
job
uh,
where,
she-
partially she has to go to France sometimes. Were you just like hoping, like, oh, good, if she's gone, we're just going to make sure this never sees the light of day?
No, I told her about it. I posted it on Instagram. I don't know how much she's watched it,
Right.
and she was just like, "Oh, this is a funny thing." I'm like, "I don't think you understand." Like Eric Steven, who's like an internet friend to all of us, a Dodgers
Yeah.
writer, posted it not knowing it was me.
It really
and
was.
then-
It was all Eric to send this thing aflame.
Yeah, and he said afterwards, like, this broke containment. I did not expect this to go like it did. But also, just to have the final word on this, and please, for the love of God, can we move on to something else after
Nope.
this?
The whole episode today, Sam.
Yeah, I know.
What we're
I
doing.
know. But no, the whole point is that it's a fun minor league thing. It is a thing that happens
Absolutely.
in minor league baseball. The reason we were there, the reason I did a ballpark tour of Riders Field and all that kind of stuff, is to point out that minor league baseball is inherently silly
Yes.
and fun, and it's a great time. And football doesn't have lazy rivers. Basketball
Yeah.
doesn't have lazy rivers. Baseball is an opportunity to have fun and enjoy yourself and lay back every once in a while. If it takes me putting that all on display, and I mean all on display on national television, then I'll do it 9 times out of 10. I don't know. I'm getting more regretful by the day. By the way,
No. It's amazing.
9 times out of 10, I will show off what makes minor league baseball silly and fun.
You are a braver man than I am because I am so full of self-loathing. I never would have agreed to that. And B, you're the most lovable dude that we know. And as Ben said, if anybody would have gotten like more mean-spirited, I would have traveled and fought them wherever they are. I have never been to Frisco, and it's one of the places I want to hit, but I attempted to get their radio job in 2012 and didn't get it, and so I've been bitter against the Rough Riders ever since. But beyond that, I would really like to make a trip because it's whenever you talk to people about what are the best minor league ballparks you've ever visited, Frisco is like invariably near the top of the list. A place that Ben is obviously very familiar with, and Ben has been on the road as of late and has new newsletter content, stories, all that type of stuff. We're going to hear about Iowa and a story that you got from Iowa. Where have you been over the last few weeks?
Yeah, well, talked about that one, I think, last week. That was the new ballpark road trip that I most recently did at the very end of June. Knoxville, Spartanburg, and Columbus, Georgia. So, yeah, talked about that visit last week quite a bit, and then everything just sort of blurs together. I'll be in Salt Lake City, another new ballpark at the end of the month, followed by a long drive and some time with the Tri-City Dust Devils in Pasco, Washington, and then the Spokane Indians, or in Pasco, Oregon, and then
No, it's
Pasco, Washington. Yeah, and then the Spokane Indians, also in Washington. So that'll be at the end of the month. So right now I have a little bit of, like, over the weekend, I was like, whoa, I have like a Monday through Friday coming up in the office that's not interrupted by a trip, not interrupted by some sort of family obligation. I'm just here for a week. So one of the things I did is I wrote a story that dates back to my time with the Iowa Cubs in early May, and also ties into a promotion they did at the end of June. So, yeah, time is very fluid in the Ben's Biz universe and the Baseball Traveler newsletter universe. But I have a story on Dylan Heuer, and I hope that's how you pronounce his last name, Heuer. He's the team photographer for the Iowa Cubs, and he is deaf. He became deaf at, I think, the age of 7 months old after getting spinal meningitis. And he worked for the teams, the Iowa Cubs, starting at age 16 as a bat boy, and then worked in the press box, went to college at the Rochester Institute of Technology, was a team photographer for the Rochester Red Wings, came back to Des Moines, and then resumed working for the Iowa Cubs as a team photographer. But when he was a kid, he had gone to a baseball camp for deaf kids. And it had been a great experience for him. He loved it. He loved the community, being able to play sports with other deaf kids. And when he returned to Des Moines after college, he realized that that camp didn't exist anymore. So he founded the Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf, and it is now celebrating its 10th anniversary. They run a 1-week camp every June, where these kids go to a local field and play baseball every day. And it sounds simple, a 1-week baseball camp, but you think of the dozens of volunteers and interpreters and all the logistics with registration and the field that you have to get together to do that. It's a huge amount of work, and he's taken upon himself to be the ringleader with that. And that camp is highlighted each year with a visit to Principal Park, the home of the Iowa Cubs. And for each of the last 2 jerseys, they've worn jerseys designed by Dylan, ASL night, Deaf Culture Night jerseys that feature IOWA, Iowa, in sign language. So I have a story about all that on in my newsletter, which came out the day we're speaking here on Thursday. Comes out every Thursday. It'll be a standalone article on MILB and MLB.com tomorrow, talking about Dylan, his life, and the great work he's doing with the Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf. It's really cool to see this group of kids show up at the ballpark and they sign the national anthem and take me out to the ball game between inning contests. Just a really great thing. So check that out. I've got many more stories like that to share throughout the year, and working on some video content and blah, blah, blah. So many things, darting around this time of year. But I think it's pretty typical that I have an article in July that is based on a conversation I had in May that also incorporates an event that was in June. It all just flows together. And that brings me to a segue that Sam...
You're going to put this on me?
Yeah, Sam said this is not a good segue, but
you said flows together, and so the segue goes back to the lazy river. We got more questions for Sam.
No.
Kidding.
No.
The opposite of a lazy river. It's a
lazy river, a
rich hill.
A rich hill.
It's a rich hill. That's the segue.
That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good.
It's so much better than Rich Hill once pitched in Iowa.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah, no, I just had some random things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that was a good segue. I touched on a few of these things in the newsletter, but if we're having some banter, some Ben's Biz banter presented by Circle K, our friends at Circle K, I want to talk about Rich Hill because you guys are talking about the draft, and the energy in this office is about the draft and the futures game and all these up and comers. So I thought I'd offer a counterbalance and be like, just remind everyone, there's a 45-year-old man pitching in minor league baseball right now. Rich Hill, he's with the Omaha Storm Chasers. But I just talked about the Iowa Cubs, and yes, Rich Hill played for the Iowa Cubs in 2005, 2006, and 2008. So there's my segue. I talked about Rich Hill played, but now he is with the Omaha Storm Chasers. And Rich Hill update. He's made 7 starts, factored into the decision in all 7 of them with Omaha. He's 4-3, 35 innings pitched, but a 6.17 ERA. So it's not looking too good. That ERA has been inflated by each of his last 2 starts. July 2nd, he allowed 7 runs, 5 of them earned over 4 innings pitched versus Iowa. So it's like Rich Hill is facing the Iowa Cubs in the year 2025, a team he first played for in 2005. 20 years after he first played for the Iowa Cubs, he's facing them. So I don't know how we'd ever find that out, but has there ever been a longer gap between when a player first appeared for a minor league team and then went on to play against them? 20 years. Earlier this week, July 8th, he allowed 7 runs, all of them earned against over 4 innings pitched versus Toledo. So I don't know. That doesn't seem call-up worthy. I Google his name a couple times a week to see if there's any Rich Hill news. So right now, I guess it's staying the course there, pitching with the Omaha Storm Chasers starting rotation. And here's hoping he rights the ship and this career continues a little bit. Because Rich Hill is the oldest player in minor league baseball since... And you guys can probably guess this. Who was the last player older than Rich Hill in minor league baseball?
Was it Jamie Moyer?
Yes, a man
Yeah,
I
that's
like
what
to
I was
talk
gonna
about.
guess.
A
Jamie
man I
Moyer.
talk about at least 3 or 4 times a year, just because I've always been a huge fan of Jamie Moyer, dating back to when my 4th and 5th grade music teacher, Miss Moyer, well, that was his sister. So I met Jamie Moyer when I was in 5th grade when he visited my school because his sister was a music teacher there. And then when he went on to pitch forever, I was always like, I have his autograph. It says to Ben, best wishes. And now I'm writing about baseball myself, and this guy is still pitching. But
Jamie Moyer, by the way, is nearly 63 years old now.
yeah,
And retired less than 15 years ago. He is
He pitched-
62.
he was born in 1962, and he pitched up through the 2012 season at the age
Yeah.
of 49. So he started that season with the Rockies. After rehabbing his entire age 48 season, he got a job he landed with the Rockies and was in their starting rotation, but that only lasted about 2 months in 2012. Then people
He
forget
gave up
this
one of the
chapter.
most incredible home runs anyone will ever see to Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton hit it into the video board in Miami, like almost blasted it through the video board in Miami. It's incredible. Go look it up.
Yeah, and that was about the end of the line for Jamie Moyer in the major leagues. But people forget this. To the extent people remember Jamie Moyer pitching in 2012 at all, they forget this. After he was released by the Rockies, he did not say, no, I'm finally done. He signed with the Baltimore Orioles, made 3 starts with the Norfolk Tides, and pitched well, a 1.69 ERA over 3 starts with Norfolk. But the Baltimore Orioles are saying, basically, thanks, but no thanks. We don't have room in the starting rotation. Jamie was feeling time was running out, so he asked for his release from Baltimore, signed with the Blue Jays, who at that time were in Las Vegas as their AAA affiliate. And 2012, he became the pitcher closest in age to 51 to play for the Las Vegas 51s. He made 2 starts to end his career as a member of the Las Vegas 51s. His final career start was, I looked it up today, July 3rd, 2012. 7 runs allowed against the Reno Aces on 10 hits and 2 walks over 6 innings pitched. And that was the last time Jamie Moyer ever took the field. And I found that box score today. The final batter that Jamie Moyer ever faced was Mike Jacobs. If you remember Mike Jacobs. Started out with the Mets, went to the Marlins. Actually had a 30 home run season with the Marlins in the late aughts. So that's how it ended for Jamie Moyer, allowing 7 runs against the Reno Aces in Reno, getting Mike Jacobs to fly out, and there ended a career that started with the 1984 Geneva Cubs in the New York Penn League. Jamie Moyer also pitched, like Rich Hill, for the Iowa Cubs in 1986. See, everything
comes back to Des Moines.
Is connected. It all comes back to Des Moines. And another thing I want to mention is that it's Thursday where we're talking. 2 nights ago, I stayed up late. I was watching the Phillies and the Giants. I saw that ridiculous ending to the Phillies-Giants game in which Patrick Bailey hit a 3-run walk-off inside the park.
Which was nuts.
Against the Phillies. This was the first walk-off inside the park home run by a catcher since a man named Benny Tate did it for the Washington Nationals in 1926. And the last walk-off inside the park home run in the major leagues since Tyler Naquin. And why do I bring that up? Because he's back in the minor leagues as a pitcher. He was drafted by Cleveland in 2012, spent that 2012 season mostly with Mahoning Valley Scrappers, and then in the playoffs got promoted to Lake County, where he played for the Lake County Captains in the 2012 Midwest League playoffs. Now, 13 years later, after retiring as a hitter, taking a year off, coming back as a pitcher, he's back in the Cleveland's minor league system, and he's back with the Lake County Captains 13 years after he first played for them. So all this research on my part, I always wish there was ways to search minor league history. Like, is that the longest gap between in terms of a player playing for the same minor league team 13 years apart? I'm not sure, because I remember Dave Stieb played for the Dunedin Blue Jays in 78 and 79. Then in 92, pitched for them, I guess, on a rehab assignment.
I feel like you would have to take out rehab assignments, right? Because there's like the potential for somebody pitching in the Florida, who used to be the Gulf Coast League, now the Florida Complex League. It just doing a stint there briefly on rehab.
Right.
That's something that would happen at the very beginning of your career and could happen at the very end.
Well,
I don't know, like in this database where we're creating in our minds, like, is there a box we can check for non-rehab?
yes. Well, Dave Stieb still fits the criteria. 78 and 79 to start his career, then a rehab in 92 with Dunedin. And then in 1998, after several years away from the game, a comeback attempt that did land him back in the majors. But he started that 98 season with the Dunedin Blue Jays when he started his career there in 1978. So Tyler Naquin is in Dave Stieb territory. But then it's a whole nother thing because Tyler Naquin is starting a new journey as a pitcher at age 34. So everything is smooth and connected, everything I just said. I just wanted to talk about Rich Hill, Jamie Moyer, Tyler Naquin, walk-off inside the park home runs, and so on and so forth.
I'm just imagining the people at home in front of a cork board with red lines connecting everything. It's like, and that took us over here, which then brought us over here, and then Patrick Bailey's involved, and now we're over at Tyler Naquin.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wrote all this on a piece of paper, real thick stock, MLB letterhead on the top. I took notes. I spent like the better part of an hour getting all this together. If anyone wants this page of notes, email me and I'll autograph it and send it to you. I mean, that's the kind of person I am.
The offer is on the table, and the paper is probably
the paper's
on the table
also
as well.
on the table.
That is Benjamin Hill, and this week's Ben's Biz Banter is, of course, brought to you by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. We got a lot of good possibilities for Name That Dude. And we're going to let you marinate on some dudes that maybe you've been thinking about and you think, well, maybe they're going to pop up with this dude. We've had a lot of good ones. And Name That Dude coming up, of course, at the end of the episode. But I feel like all three of us, we've had some time to roll around some Name That Dude names. I don't even know whose turn it is this week. But Benjamin Hill will rejoin us for Name That Dude as we step aside. And Sam Dykstra and I have futures game and draft conversation for you. It's all coming up on this week's episode of The Show Before the Show. What is a big week across the prospect spectrum, the draft prospect spectrum? If you're like somebody who's got the stock to go, first round, like the anxiety of this week, I would imagine has got to be, maybe not if you're Ethan Holiday, like you've got, your dad went through this process, your brother went through this process, all that. But like if you're just a guy who, I don't know, you've never been through this, you're a high school guy, your family had, like, I would imagine being less than a week away is just, it's like the way you felt about Christmas, but it's like, oh, the rest of my life also rides on this.
Yeah. And
it's a lot.
And it feels that way. And then you watch like Cam Smith get traded a few months later.
Yeah.
Gibbs the third get traded less than a year later. Like you think like, okay, this is the team that wants me. They're going to take me. We're going to negotiate. We're going to figure out signing bonus, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be in this together. And you're in the business of baseball. I mean, I think everybody I talked to about what was your draft like, I think primarily they're excited.
Yeah.
This is a day that guys have been dreaming about for a long time, and you can get into the nitty gritty. But at the end of the day, these are kids who are getting drafted into baseball, something we've all thought about at some point in our lives, and they actually get to experience it. So, yeah, if you were expecting to go third and you get pick sixth, or you drop to the third round, but you still get your signing bonus, those are sometimes just details. The big thing is just starting your baseball journey on the professional side.
It's coming up for a lot of guys. And for those guys, one thing that they will potentially aspire to in the coming years is to be selected to the Futures Game, which is coming up. This week, we enter Draft Week, Futures Game Week, All-Star Week, obviously coming up with the All-Star Game on Tuesday in Atlanta. But Futures Game rosters announced. And Sam and I are going to select our Futures Game squads from the players who will comprise the two rosters for the 2025 Futures Game. Sam, how are we doing this? We're gonna flip a coin for who gets that coveted 1-1. You ready? You ready for this?
Yes. Yeah, so just to work everybody through the rules that we're going to do here, we'll do serpentine, snake style, however you want to call it. So it's, it's essentially after the first pick, we're just going to be making 2 picks in a row, the both of us, since there's just 2 of us. And we'll go back through all the positions, all 9 positions, catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, 3 outfielders each, and a DH. So you can take somebody at any time, Tyler, and be like, this guy's my DH. You have to declare that he's your DH. You can't be like, I took 2 shortstops. I'm deciding to move shortstop Y to my DH later. You have to say, this guy is my DH. And then a right-handed pitcher and a left-handed pitcher. Anybody can be taken in any order. You don't have to go like by position. You don't have to take your catchers first and your left-handed pitchers last. So there's going to be some strategy here. I will say Jurangelo Senja, eligible for both right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching.
I was going to ask.
But you don't get him as a switch pitcher.
Okay.
So if you take him as your left-handed pitcher, and I know you might know this. I'm not going to say it unless it comes up which side he's stronger from. If you take him as a lefty, he only is going to throw lefty for your team.
Okay.
In this completely fake scenario that we built. Otherwise, anybody else is fair game. In order to have eligibility at a position, you must have played that position at some point in 2025 or 2020, at some point in your minor league career. So that opens up some guys at different spots. We can get into those as they come up. But again, like maybe you think one position is a little bit more sparse, and that's why so-and-so gets taken earlier than they would have if we were just doing this based off of prospect status. So there will be some strategy here. But like you said, I'm going to flip a coin, which is a digital coin. Tyler, before I hit the button, heads or tails?
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. I am pressing flip, and it is heads.
Tails always fails.
Tails always fails. I'm a tails man myself.
Dang it.
Please don't take that out of context. So I will have the first pick. Tyler, you will get 2 picks after that. I'll take 2 picks after that, and we'll go back and forth until all 11 slots are filled.
Guy.
Oh boy. You know what? I'm going to take this. I'm going to go for a little bit of a chaos draft. I'm not going to lie to you.
Wow.
I'm doing this, and this guy's going to be my DH.
You're going first pick DH.
First pick DH because Anyway, I'm going to say who it is. It's Josue Briseño of the Detroit Tigers. Somebody who I've talked about in the past as being the Arizona Fall League Triple Crown winner last year. Had some knee problems that delayed him during the regular season, but we had heard good things, and then exploded in the AFL. He's been with High A West Michigan this year. Very much part of that cohort of Tigers prospects. He actually just moved up to Double-A Erie alongside Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark, who are also eligible in the Futures game for this. He's got catcher eligibility. He's got first base eligibility. They're still trying to make it work for him at catcher. I think he's a first baseman long term, but by taking him at DH, I don't trust him defensively at either of those spots. So I like that I have him as a DH, and it blocks somebody who could be taken at 2 different positions, right? Like I just like that as a little bit of a strategy. So Jose Briseño is off the board and is my DH pick. Tyler, you get the number 2 pick.
That's a fascinating way to start it. Yeah, this is so different from the drafts that we normally do, because normally it's like, all right, I got to go with the shortstop first. I'm gonna take my guy blank, and I'm gonna lock down yada yada because we're building from the middle through. But this isn't like, we're not drafting from the top 100. We're not drafting, like, these rosters are already as star-studded as rosters come. But with that being said, I'm going to take one of the most exciting young dudes in all of baseball, and that is San Diego Padres shortstop prospect Leo DeVries, who I will be snagging with the 2nd overall selection. Despite the fact that he was born, I could literally be his father. I'm still going to take Leo DeVries, who was born in 2006. Awesome. Okay, so I'm taking Leo DeVries first. And behind Leo DeVries, I think, so he's my shortstop, obviously. I think My second selection is gonna be. I think I'm gonna go Max Clark. I think I'm going to go Detroit Tigers prospect and third overall selection in 2023, Max Clark, who has played at the high A and double A level so far this season. I think I'm going to go Max Clark in the outfield. Taking him in the outfield. Not gonna.
I mean, you can only take him in the outfield.
Not gonna. No, yeah, but I could take him as a DH.
You could take that is true.
Yeah,
That is true. You could take him as a DH.
Yeah, Sam.
He's a pretty good defensive center fielder. So I do. I like how you said. Normally you're trying to build through the spine, and like that's exactly what you've done with these first two picks.
Yeah, that's right.
But I can also see your lineup coming together really easily. You got Max Clark, who's like a high OBP guy. He's already homered at Double A Erie.
He's only been there for 2 games, and yeah.
And that's the big question for him, right? Is how is that power going to play? But like the approach has been really, really good. Walked more than he struck out so far this year. And then Leo DeVries is somebody who could be a 5-tool talent at shortstop. You're going to hear the Padres once again this year being active on the trade deadline, around the trade deadline. You know, that's how AJ Preller acts. But like the guy they've always said you cannot touch in trades unless,
Leo DeVries.
you know, who knows? I'm not going to rule anything out. Is Leo DeVries. They like that guy a lot. Everybody who was around him in spring training loved the guy, including Manny Machado. Had a lot of great things to say about Leo DeVries. So good picks, Tyler. DeVries and Clark are off the board. 2 of our first 3 picks are Detroit Tigers. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to go... Man, there's the thing is, like, I don't have to take a shortstop now that you've taken a shortstop, right?
That is true. Degree, yeah.
Strategy would indicate, but I'm gonna take the guy who I think has a really good hit tool, and I just want both of these guys on my team. So I'm gonna take Kevin McGonigal at second base. There's another Tiger. We're going Tigers early here. I'm gonna take Kevin McGonigal at second base, and then I'm gonna take. Oh, man, I hate to leave some of these other guys on the board. I'm going to take Connor Griffin at shortstop. The Pittsburgh Pirates first-round pick from last year, already at high A. Kevin McGonigal might have the best hit tool in all of minor league baseball right now. I mean, it's just he's a doubles machine. He pounces on balls on the zone. He's battled some injuries. He had a hamate last year. He had, I think it was an ankle at some point earlier this year. That's just unlucky. I don't think that's like injury prone. But putting him alongside Briseño brings the pop. McGonigal brings the gap power, but he can really turn on balls all over the place. So I like those 2 guys. And then Connor Griffin might be the toolsiest player in this year's futures game. He can play shortstop. He can play center field. He has a really strong arm. The biggest question coming into the year was, what was his hit tool going to be? He's made some really nice adjustments so early in his career. He's not striking out as much as people thought he might. And the fact that he's already doing that is telling of who he could be moving forward. Like, it's tougher to teach power and speed that he already has. And if he's making these gains with the hit tool, his ceiling's through the roof. So Kevin McGonigal and Connor Griffin. McGonigal at second, Griffin at short. We're building up the middle as well.
Okay. I love Kevin McGonigal because he reminds me of McGarnagle, the like hard-boiled cop character from a Simpsons episode. That's why every time Kevin McGonigal comes up, I am happy because of that. But I'm also happy because you didn't take either of the guys who I wanted to take next. And they are my third baseman, Jesus Made, and my second baseman, I got to go this route. It's got to be Bryce Matthews for me. Maybe my favorite Husker of all time. We share an alma mater. Although when I told him that last year at the AAA National Championship game, I don't think he could have been less impressed. He's like, whatever, old man. Did you go to college when they were using abacuses? But Bryce Matthews has been killing it this year with Sugarland at the AAA level. 283, 400, 476 with 10 home runs. He's been outstanding this year. And Jesus Made is just like, we've talked about him in this context. He's the next Sam Dykstra Brewers prospect crush. Sam always has a guy in the Brewers system that he's very, very high on. Sam loves him some Jesus Made. And we're going to have a very young left side of the infield because Jesus Made, also 18 years old, but another guy who just could climb really, really quickly. 18 years old. He's playing with Carolina. The Mudcats is the low A assignment to start the year. He's got a 772 OPS. He's walking a good amount. He's almost swiped 40 bags already this year. I like him. I like Jesus Made, and I love me some Bryce Matthews. So my 3/4 of my infield set.
Yeah, no, that's good. And, it pains me not to get Made. Like you said, he's very much a prospect crush for me. The bat speed is tremendous, switch hitter. And with that speed already, I mean, there's so much for people to dream on. The fact that he's carried this performance, skipping over the American complexes and moving straight to single A Carolina and doing this well has been really fun to watch. So good picks by you, Tyler. Whew. Well, you took Made at third base. I'm going to take another guy who's a shortstop who's getting some looks at third base, and somebody I saw in Frisco. That is Sebastian Walcott of the Texas Rangers organization. Sebastian Walcott, only 19 years old, playing at Double-A Frisco this year, a native of the Bahamas. I actually asked him about this, Tyler. You'll be interested to know, would he play for Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic last year? He said, there are discussions. Things are happening. I don't know how much of that is the Rangers not wanting him to go and trying to keep him away from that, or there could be all sorts of things going into that, and it's still many months away. But Sebastian Walcott could absolutely help out that Great Britain team with his power. He's already 6'4". He's still kind of growing into his body, at least physically maturing a little bit in terms of adding strength, but the power's already there. He's got a cannon of an arm that's going to work for me at third base. He's got those shortstop actions. Big reason.
By the way, he's from Nassau in the Bahamas. Did we mention that part?
That's right. Oh, I may have said he's going to play for Great Britain. Yeah, from the Bahamas.
One of this wave of Bahamian talent that started to come through baseball, which is super cool, led by of course Jazz Chisholm.
And I asked him about that, and he brought up Jazz. I think the Jazz effect can't be overlooked.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been other guys like Lucius Fox who have come through, and you could go years back and find others. But I think Antoine Richardson is another big name from there. But Walcott, I think, has a high ceiling as anybody, and I'm including Jazz in that discussion. So I'll move him into third base. And then, I'm going to take our first... No, I'm going to save that one. I'm going to take an outfielder. I'm going to go with Zaire Hope of the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. Zaire Hope, breakout year. Last year was acquired from the Cubs by the Dodgers in the Michael Busch trade, which has worked out pretty well for the Cubs. I mean, I know they also gave up Jackson Ferris, who's another top 100 prospect. Good talent identification by the Dodgers. Michael Busch was being blocked in that organization, so they gave him an outlet to the Cubs. But getting Zaire Hope back was a major, major get for LA. Zaire Hope right now, number 37 on our list. Stands 5'10", pretty stout body, but a good runner. He's got a ton of thump, batting from the left side, a good arm. He can play center field. He's right now at High A Great Lakes, and he's part of that team that is just absolutely loaded with outfielders. Josue DePaula, who's another futures gamer, is there. Mike Sirota, who's one of the breakout stars of 2025, is there. But Zaire Hope, I think, could be one of the best five-tool talents in this prospect class or any futures game we've had. We'll see how things move forward for him. His approach was a little bit better last year. That's starting to creak a little bit as he climbs the ladder, but a lot to like with Zaire Hope. So he's my first outfielder off the board.
Okay. Man, there's some, you said a little while ago, I don't have to take this position because you already took that position. But I am still going, well, you didn't take this position, I guess, specifically. But because you brought up Great Britain's WBC team, I'm going to take probably the most famous guy from Great Britain's last WBC team, and that is catcher Harry Ford, currently in the Seattle Mariners organization. Not sure how long that's going to be. The Mariners are in an interesting spot with him because obviously what they have in Cal Raleigh is not something that you're going to be giving up on. So you've got a really, really highly regarded prospect who is the the type of piece that you look for going into a trade deadline scenario in which you're contending. But you also have him at one of the most valuable positions in baseball. He's the 6th ranked catching prospect in baseball. And Harry Ford is, he's on the doorstep right now. He's with AAA Tacoma. He's putting together a really, really good season, 68 games there, hitting .297 with an .866 OPS, and 9 home runs so far this year. He is walking a lot and not striking out a ton, which is sort of the Harry Ford hallmark. He's going to get on base. He's going to be really intelligent at the plate. So I'm going to go with Harry Ford. And I would also love to see Harry Ford back on that Great Britain WBC team in 2026, and we will see if he's going to be part of that. So I'm going to go Harry Ford. And you know what? Why not? I have become known throughout my professional life, for better or worse, as a Colorado Rockies fan. So I'm going to take Charlie Condon. Charlie Condon at first base, who started the season really, really hot after getting healthy, started things with Spokane at the high A level on a really, really good note. He has since been promoted to Double A Hartford. It has been slower going there, but he's only been there for 8 games. But with Spokane to start the year after he got the year kicked off in the complexes in Arizona, 35 games with Spokane, 312, 431, 420. I think the power is going to continue to come along for Charlie Condon, who that's his best graded tool. He's got a 70 grade power tool, 37 home runs in his final year in college with Georgia. It'll come along. He had a hand injury last year and another one at the beginning of this season coming out of spring training. So once he gets healthy and continues to get into the rhythm of Double A, I think he'll be fine. So I'm going to go Charlie Condon at first base.
Yeah, it was a broken wrist that he was dealing with to begin this season, and I think a lot of people looked very heavily into what he was after the draft last year. And you mentioned that hand injury. I remember when we were getting rumblings about that in the offseason. It's like, well, that explains a lot of things. He was kind of forcing it, given how good he was at Georgia and given his draft status, that trying to play through that hand injury probably was not the best for Charlie Condon. And then unfortunately suffering that broken wrist this time around in the spring set him back a little while, and risk can really affect your power. So I don't think we've seen the best yet of Charlie Condon, but the fact that he pushed his way past high A so quickly is indicative of who he can be. And once he adds that power back in, I think the further he gets away from those hand injuries, we'll really start to see him shine. So Charlie Condon for you at first base. I'm going to take my 2 pitchers. We haven't taken any pitchers yet, and I want to get those guys off the board. I will start with Jonah Tong of the New York Mets organization, guy who's consistently led minor league baseball in strikeouts throughout this summer. Somebody we put on to the top 100. He's at number 59 now, just took a massive leap in our most recent update. Right now, as we sit here on Thursday, he leads minor league baseball with 125 strikeouts in 78 2/3 innings. He's got a 1.83 ERA, a 0.93 whip. If you watch him pitch, he's the closest thing we've had to Tim Lincecum since Tim Lincecum retired. He's listed at 6'1". Might be a little bit shorter than that, but it's just that over-top delivery. I wrote a story about him last year. He basically said his dad growing up in Canada was like, don't throw sidearm. Sidearm is death. That's how you get injuries. And it just slowly kept creeping up because he didn't want to throw sidearm. So now it's like basically straight over the top, and he gets really good ride off that fastball because of the arm angle. And he's got a vertical curveball to play off that. So if you're just sitting at the top rail against him, he's going to drop in that curveball, get some strikeouts. And his changeup's been much improved this year. It's getting exceptional swing and miss rates after they continue to fiddle with that with the Mets. So Jonah Tong will be my right-handed pitcher. I'm really hoping he gets a good long look in Atlanta on Saturday. And then my left-handed pitcher is, we talked about Tim Lincecum going the other way, and somebody who's definitely got size and gets a lot of Randy Johnson comps, which might not be completely fair, but that's Noah Schultz of the Chicago White Sox organization, somebody who's now at AAA at just 21 years old, 6'10". So that's where those Randy Johnson comparisons come in. The walks have taken a step back this year, 44 walks in 68 innings, but he's also struck out 71 batters in that time. Really good fastball, really exceptional slider. He's got a cutter that he can also fiddle it with in there as well. But it's just so much projection with him as he starts to add on innings, because he was really held back in 2024. He's starting to add on innings now. He's going to be the monster pitching prospect that a lot of this White Sox rebuild is going to be built around. So I'm really excited to see what he can do in a shorter stint on Saturday. It's only 7 innings, so hopefully they give him a longer look than just like, here's the one left-handed batter you get to face, and it's a two pitch at bat. I'm hoping that we get a full inning of Noah Schultz, but very excited to see him and how that stuff plays, especially in that shorter stint, and he can maybe let it fly.
Okay. You have selected your pitchers, which means I don't need to select pitchers just yet. So I'm going to go with my 2 other outfielders, I do believe. And first up for me, I'm going to continue the somewhat international flavor of this squad. And I'm going to go with, as exotic and international as it gets, Canadian outfielder Owen Casey, who I'm going to take from the Chicago Cubs organization. I got to see Owen Casey, I want to say, in the U18 Baseball World Cup. I might be making that up. But Owen Casey, second round pick of the Padres back in 2020. Started his professional career with the Cubs in 2021 because he was dealt. Remember, we had no minor league season in 2020, so the Padres took him 45th overall and then traded him to the Cubs, where he made his debut in 2021. But this season, his age 23 season, he's back in Iowa after spending all year there last year. He's jumped his OPS 110 points, and last year was already pretty darn good at 847. This year he is at 957 with his AAA OPS, and another guy who, somewhat similarly to Harry Ford, is kind of blocked at the big league level right now. That Cubs outfield is absurd. So Owen Casey, who knows where he ends up to start his big league career. So I'm going to go with Owen Casey as my first selection. And then I think second selection, all of these names on this board are going to give you something good, but I think I'm going to go with Lazaro Montes from the Seattle Mariners system. Montes, who signed with the M's back in 2022, this year's age 20 season. He is currently with Double-A Arkansas after starting the year with High-A Everett. His numbers have gotten better in Double-A than they were in High-A. Now, granted, he's only been there for a couple of weeks, but over his first 14 Double-A games, he's already got 4 home runs, 2 triples, a double, 10 runs batted in. He's walked 11 times to 16 strikeouts. There is a lot to like about Lazaro Montes, and so those 2 guys are going to fill out my outfield along with my first outfield selection, Max Clark.
I'm upset. I wanted Montes.
Yes.
I could really use
my favorite thing in a draft is when I steal a pick from Sam Dykstra. But it's because I know that those are the smart picks. If I make a pick and I see you go like, oh yeah, then I'm like, dang it, that wasn't a smart one. If Sam wants them, they're good picks.
Well, both of those guys I had my eye on, honestly, and maybe I should have taken them. Owen Casey, by the way, his last 6 games, he has 3 2-homer games.
He's ridiculous, man. He is so good. And again, like, it's the same sort of scenario where if you're a Cubs fan, you're like, God, I wish we could figure out a spot for this guy. But your outfield's loaded. Your DH spot has been outstanding all year. Like, where are you going to put him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he seems like classic trade bait. And to his credit, he's getting hot at the right time. I mean, he's going to be somebody who people will want back in trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure the Cubs don't really want to trade away a guy who's that hot. But maybe that's somebody who can get a package for somebody really big, because the Brewers are making that NL Central competitive. And just the NL in general is going to be competitive if you want to get past the Dodgers. All right. So you took Casey and Montes. Oh man, we're getting thinner here. I still have 2 outfield spots, first base. That might be it. and catcher. I do have catcher. 2 outfield spots, first base and catcher. So I know you already have your catcher. I'm gonna go. You already have your outfield. Man, I don't know what to take here. I guess I should take somebody who's I'm gonna block him from being your DH. So I'll do that. I'll take 2 guys who I want to block from being your DH. And they are Josue DePaula of the Los Angeles Dodgers organization and CJ Kayfus of the Cleveland Guardians organization. Kayfus will be my first baseman. DePaula will be an outfielder for me. DePaula, I get to put him up against Zaire Hope or with Zaire Hope. So those guys have some familiarity with one another. DePaula, we were getting Yordan Alvarez comps all over the place in the offseason for DePaula. Just the way the power and the overall hit tool play together for him. And just also the fact that, he's 20 years old, he's lefty hitting, 6'3". He's listed at 185. I think he's a little bit bigger than that. But it's all about the hit and the power tools for him. Not a great runner, not a great fielder, but he's going to pummel the ball. So I like that for Josue DePaula. And then CJ Kayfus, somebody who I think coming into the year, people kind of expected to be hit over power, and the script has flipped a little bit. He's got a 969 OPS this year between AA and AAA. Last year he slugged 511. Now that's up to 565. He's got 13 homers in only 75 games. He's somebody who's really rounding into form in that Cleveland organization. He's 23 years old, so on the older side for the futures game, but another lefty bat for me, who I think could have fit for you. He's got outfield experience. He's got first base experience. Could have been a DH type. I just didn't want to lose too many first basemen. So I'm going to take CJ Kayfus and make him my first baseman.
All right, Sam. Let's see what's happening here. This is kind of tricky because, there are not just many straight up bats left right now. There are a lot of guys with good hit tools, but not a lot of guys you look at and think all that guy can do is hit. I think my DH selection. You know what? You're done. Well, I guess you're not totally done position player wise, but I'm gonna go pitchers. I'm gonna go with my pitchers next, and I'm going to take Angelo Senja as a right-handed pitcher. Yes. He's a lot better from the right-handed side, which is he's only major league quality from the left-handed side, and he's above average right-handed. What a ridiculous athlete. That guy's amazing. And I'm going to go with a guy who is so perfectly named for his 2025 season, Gage Jump, because Gage Jump made his way into the middle of the top 100 after starting the season outside the top 100. Now he's number 68 overall. He has had an outstanding season and is a guy who just feels like the ceiling is going to continue to grow with. Now that being said, he's pitching in the athletic system, so he's going to be going to a weird situation with Sacramento and yada yada. But a lefty who's just got good solid stuff across the board. He's 22 years old. This year combined, between Lansing and Midland, he has a 2.13 ERA. Similarly to some of the other guys we've talked about, it's gotten better since he made the climb out of high A to double A. Overall this season, he has struck out 97 batters to 24 walks and 80 and a third innings pitched. Not a big guy. He's listed at 6'1", 6 foot 200, but just really, really good stuff across the board.
Yeah, Gage Jump, somebody I honestly considered over Noah Schultz. In our backroom meetings here at Dykstra Baseball Club, it was going to be a close call between Noah Schultz and Gage Jump. Jump has much better momentum, like you were saying, and I like the way that fastball plays for him. He's got a lot of energy when he pitches. So yeah, Gage Jump, a lot to like there, and gives us an A's representative. So my final 2 picks, I have an outfielder and I have a catcher left. I will say that the outfielder first. There are some good outfielders here still on the board, but I'm going to take Carson Benj of the New York Mets organization, the 19th overall pick in last year's draft. Just having an exceptional first full year between high A Brooklyn and double A Binghamton, batting .306 on the year with a .915 OPS. Since he's gotten out of Brooklyn, he's actually doing better with Binghamton, batting 325, slugging 550. Only 16 homers on the year, but 51 walks to 57 strikeouts, 17 steals. It's a lot of 50s and 55s on the board. His loudest tool might be his arm, but that's because he was a pitcher at Oklahoma State. He's done the opposite of Nolan McLean in the same organization. McLean became a pitcher only, Benj is a hitter only. But that arm's going to fit in right field for my team, or any spot in the outfield, to be honest with you. Solid runner. I just like the way everything's tracking. And I think guys who go from two-way status in college to one-way status in the pros have so much more room to grow. I've talked to a few guys who have done that. And it's just like when I'm only focused on one thing, I get so much better at this because my attention isn't being split anywhere else. And then Carter Jensen will be my catcher, number 73 overall prospect for us. There's some good catchers on the board here too, and a lot of them are super young. Jensen's somebody at AAA now at 22 years old. He just turned 22 a few weeks ago. He's been running really hot so far for Omaha. He's been there 12 games, already has 6 homers. Now, Omaha itself can be extremely hitter friendly, especially for the International League. But the fact that he's starting to put it together power wise, he's somebody who, talking to the Royals in the offseason, they just love how well-rounded he is, how he's gained defensively over the years. He's talked about that. He's trying to become a well-rounded backstop. The fact that he's picking up the power from the left-handed side, that's just, you're not going to find that very often. So they have another really good catcher in that system in Blake Mitchell, but Carter Jensen is knocking on the door. And for years now, we've talked about who could be the guy to replace Salvador Perez. Jensen is looking like he could be that guy long-term.
All right, then the final selection for my squad is, the hit tools among the guys who were left on the board, not the straight up best hit tools of everybody that we have seen so far through this draft. But I'm going to go with another guy who's going to give me a little bit of versatility in this lineup. And that is, even though I'm taking him as a DH, and so he's only my DH, and also this isn't an actual draft, so we're not going to be playing these teams against each other. But JJ Weatherholt of the St. Louis Cardinals, currently with the Memphis Redbirds, the 7th overall pick in 2024. Hit grade is 65. Power tool is at 55 this season. His second pro season, made his debut at Springfield at Double-A. Fantastic numbers there. He has since made the call, gotten the call, made the jump to Triple-A. He's with Memphis right now. He's only spent a couple of games there, but of his first 3 hits in Double-A, he's got a double, a triple, and a homer, so not bad. JJ Weatherholt, also just a great name. What a great name, JJ Weatherholt.
A great baseball name.
Yeah, terrific baseball name. There's a few of those on this list. I'm a little sad that neither of us picked Lou James Groover because that's just a fantastic name. But JJ Weatherholt, it's a fantastic name.
I was really hoping you were going to take JJ Weatherholt just because if this draft would have felt incomplete without him.
Yeah, if Weatherholt was still on the board.
Yeah, top 20 overall. He's kind of at a position in shortstop where there's other guys you could take, and we did, and he's got some time at second base, and we took a couple of second basemen who are really good as well, and Bryce Matthews you have personal connections to, but JJ Weatherholt, the perfect anything but Mr. Relevant in this Futures Game draft.
And now you will all miss out on the director's cut edition of this podcast episode in which I took Josue DePaula, and Sam had to be like, no, I already took him. So those are our squads. I'm pretty stoked with this. I mean,
Should we run through them real quick?
Yeah. It's not as though you can build like a slouch team really when you're drafting from the Futures Game rosters. But around the horn, my squad, Harry Ford gets the nod behind home plate. Third base, Jesus Made. Shortstop is Leo DeVries. Second base is Bryce Matthews. First base is Charlie Condon. My outfielders are Max Clark, Owen Casey, and Lazaro Montes. Designated hitter, JJ Weatherholt. Right-handed pitcher, Durangelo Senja. And gauge jump from the left side, Sam. The Sam Dykstra All-Stars.
The Sam Dykstra All-Stars doing the same around the horn that Tyler just did. At catcher, I have Carter Jensen. At third base, I have Sebastian Walcott. Connor Griffin will be my starting shortstop. Kevin McGonigal is in at second base. CJ Kafis at first base. Then in the outfield, we have Zaire Hope, Josue DePaula, and Carson Benj. And then at DH, we have Josue Briseño. I have 2 Josues. Isn't that funny? I just realized that just now. And then our 2 arms are Jonah Tong and Noah Schultz.
Pretty good. Those are pretty good squads. Futures game is just so fun, man. Futures game this year, by the way, is set for MLB Network. Friend of the show, Melanie Newman, will be on the call for the 2025 Futures game, along with, a star-studded squad. Melanie will be on the call with Yonder Alonso, Jonathan Mayo, Sandy Charles as well. That game at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday at Truist Park. So we're going to have a bunch of fun this weekend with the 2025 All-Star Futures game on deck. All right, we're going to step aside for a timeout. And we go from a fake draft, a fantasy draft of the futures game, to talk about the real draft. The 2025 MLB first-year player draft is coming up. Some headlines, some themes, some stories, all that after the break on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
The 2025 Major League Baseball first-year player draft is coming up this weekend, and we've got a whole lot of things to talk about in a draft that I think really in 2025 feels like pretty wide open. And here to discuss it is, one of the smartest men in the baseball draft world. And it's the same guy who was one of the smartest men in the futures game draft world just a moment ago. And that is Samuel C. Dykstra. All right, Sam, we have a very unique and strange situation this year to kick off the 2025 draft because the team that holds the first overall pick just fired their longtime general manager. The Washington Nationals parting ways with Mike Rizzo after a long tenure in the nation's capital that included the 2019 World Series title. But the Nats are picking 1-1 and less than a couple weeks before the draft decided we're going in a different direction. We've never really seen anything like this that I can remember timing-wise of an organization that just decides with that little span of time before the draft, like, no, we're doing something different.
Yeah, I think a number of years ago, the Royals did that right before they took Luke Hochevar.
Which was another very bizarre situation. A guy who was originally drafted in the first round, didn't sign, went and played independent ball, if I remember correctly, Luke Hochevar, who was eventually made it to the big leagues and pitched okay in the big leagues, but was a very unique. He did play college ball. He played at the University of Tennessee. That was where he was originally drafted in the first round in 2005. Then went to he just had a look up Luke Hochevar. We're not going to discuss obviously the entire spectrum of Luke Hochevar's career, but he had a really interesting start to his pro career in which he was playing independently in 2006 before being drafted by the Royals, yada yada. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, you're right. And anyway, so we have to go back to 2006, right? And to find something similar to this happening. I mean, if you get the number one overall pick, and now that we have the draft lottery, this is not like the Nationals got the first overall pick because they were the worst team in baseball last year. They won the lottery to get this. And so much of the talk when that happened is like, hey, the Nationals have a history here of taking first overall. They hit pretty well on those. It was Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg. This year, like you said, Tyler, is much more wide open in terms of who could be that first overall pick. It is not those two generational talents back to back anymore. That's not to say there aren't guys that there are to like at the top of the draft, and working with Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis, who are our draft gurus and MLB Pipeline. They've talked about this on our sister podcast, the MLB Pipeline podcast, about it seems like it's coming down to one of two guys for the Nationals up top. And it felt like it was coming down to this before Rizzo got fired. That is Ethan Holiday, brother of Jackson Holiday, son of Matt Holiday out of Oklahoma. And an 18-year-old shortstop slash third baseman. A lot of people expect him to move over to third base long term, but just exceptional power. Has more power than his brother did at the same age. Is bigger than his brother was. He's 6'4". Talking to Jim about him the other day, he's like, it's funny how much he reminds me of Matt. A lot more than Jackson does. He's like left-handed pop as well, so there's tons to dream on with Ethan Holiday. And then number 2 is Cade Anderson of LSU, fresh off winning a College World Series title in Omaha, who's got multiple really good pitches, fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, all grayed out as above average or plus. He throws strikes, and somebody similar to like a Chase Burns, who we've seen climb to the major league level in his first full year. Cade Anderson can move quickly. And for that reason, I feel like it's going to be Cade Anderson at the top of the draft for the Nationals, because a lot of the talk around letting go of Davey Martinez and letting go of Mike Rizzo is the Nationals should be beyond a rebuild right now. They have James Wood. They have Mackenzie Gore. They have C.J. Abrams, all of which came over in that Juan Soto trade. Like, there are pillars to build around here. Dylan Cruz has been injured for much of this year, but, like, again, somebody who you should be building around, and they don't have the results to show it. I think this ownership group is probably thinking like, hey, let's kick some things into gear here. This isn't working with our current leadership structure. We're expecting better major league results. So if that's the missive from on high in DC, Ethan Holiday is going to be, it's going to be years until he makes the major leagues. There's a lot to like, he could move quickly, but moving quickly for Ethan Holiday is getting to the majors in 2 years, 3 years. Whereas Cade Anderson could help you out next year. And if you add Cade Anderson to that group alongside Travis Sikora, who's had an exceptional year, he's down now with a triceps injury. Harleen Susana, who has an elbow injury right now. But both of those guys have high ceilings as pitchers. That trio, that three-headed monster as a pitching group, is what teams dream on. The teams would love to have Cade Anderson, Travis Sikora, and Harleen Susana all in one system. A lot of the guys they've graduated have been bats. This would put the emphasis on arms, and I think Cade Anderson could help them turn this around rather quickly. So if I was looking at it from that perspective, Rizzo had a scouting background. He really liked being involved in scouting situations. Mike DiBartolo, who's taken over on an interim basis, is much more analytically minded, I would say. But I think if they did that and they said, hey, listen, do what you need to do to make this team better and quick, Cade Anderson's the pick. So we'll see how things are coming down. That's my guess right now. But you never know with these picks, right? Like even 2 years ago, the debate was still coming down at this time. Were the Pirates going to go like with one of the bats? Were they going to go Wyatt Langford? Were they going to go Dylan Cruz? They ended up going Paul Skeens, and everybody in retrospect is like, well, Skeens was always the call. It wasn't always the call. And I think you never know how this is going to twist and turn, but I think Anderson's got the leg up right now.
All right, Sam, every year we go into a draft and there are different themes throughout draft classes. This year, there are a lot of prep shortstops that look really good. There are a lot of collegiate arms that look really good. Give us some of the big headliners from those groups for this 2025 draft class.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there with what is the main strengths of this draft. If you want to look at a weakness, college bats aren't really there this year. If you look at MLB Pipeline's rankings, the top college bat is Ike Irish at number 11. But there are a lot of really interesting shortstops here. I really like Eli Willits, who's number 5 on our list, also out of Oklahoma, like Ethan Holiday. Kind of a little bit of an opposite profile. He's hit first. The power isn't quite there, but he's switch hitting. He's only 17. He's not turning 18 until December. So you can dream on that power coming around. He's a plus runner, got a good arm, much more likely to stick it short than Ethan Holiday is. So look at Eli Willits to be taken in the first 5 picks. Has a lot of momentum, out of Mississippi. Somebody with power. He's turned nice, so he's a little bit, not a little bit older. He's older than, or I should take that back. What I was saying before about college bats, Ivar Arquette at number 6, but still, it's not a strong year for that. But Ivar Arquette, number 6, Oregon State shortstop, is the highest on the board. Still, these high school shortstops or I think where a lot of the class is Billy Carlson out of California, somebody else who's 18, really good fielder. That's where his base is going to be, and that gives him a high floor. Daniel Pierce out of Georgia, Steele Hall out of Alabama. A lot of these guys, different profiles for each of them. Steele Hall, another guy who's defense first, plus runner, only 17 right now, turning 18 later this month. Daniel Pierce, above average hit tool, plus runner, good defender, some power questions similar to Eli Willits. So I think you're going to hear a lot of those names called in the first half of the draft, and then go to those college pitchers. I mean, we talked about Cade Anderson before, but Jamie Arnold, somebody who has an exceptional fastball, really good slider. He's gotten some Chris Sale comps because of the arm angle that he has and the way that fastball and slider play off each other. Liam Doyle, just an absolutely fiery pitcher out of the University of Tennessee. His fastball gets a grade of 75. He's got a slider, cutter, and splitter to play off of that. But if you watched him pitch, it's very emotional. They've talked a lot, the Volunteers have, about how good of a clubhouse guy he is, how guys build off of his energy. We could see him go as high as number 2 to the Los Angeles Angels. We know the Angels love taking guys who can move quick and who they could even use at some point this year. I don't know if they would go that route with Doyle, but that fastball is going to play everywhere. So keep an eye out for him as well. And then Kyson Witherspoon out of Oklahoma, he's number 10 on our list. Really good fastball, really good curveball and slider. I'll be interested to see if other orgs try to get him to pick a breaking ball. Maybe he goes with the slider because he also has a cutter to play off of that. The biggest question mark for me is what is his changeup going to be like? You kind of need that at the next level. That's why he's not really at the level of a Doyle or an Arnold or an Anderson for me, but a pretty good right-handed pitcher and only 20 years old. So I think that's where the strengths are. It's in the college pitching. It's in the high school bats. It might be a little while outside of Arquette and Irish for us to hear one of the college bats, but you never know. All it takes is one team to really like a player. One other college arm I'll just throw out there real quick, just because I would not be surprised if he goes much higher than we have him ranked, is Gage Wood, the right-handed pitcher out of Arkansas. I said this on MLB Network the other day.
Put his name on everybody's list with his performance in the College World Series.
Yeah, and people ask this all the time of now that the College World Series is something we consider because the draft has been moved back.
Right.
It used to take place before the College World Series, so guys couldn't really improve their stock in Omaha. Now they technically can, but the way I view it is it's the end of a long season. Anything can happen in these one-game scenarios. I only think somebody can affect their stock in Omaha if they do something extremely special. 19 strikeout, no-hitter.
Yeah.
It's
pretty special. Pretty special.
Yeah, pretty special. The only reason he's at 23 for me is because he had a shoulder injury in the beginning of the year. You don't know how that's going to hold up. But it reminds me of Cade Horton, who had tons of momentum going through the postseason for Oklahoma a few years ago, went in the top 10 to the Cubs, and now has been one of the best young arms in Major League Baseball. I think Gage Wood could follow that path. It only takes one team in the top 10 to be hey, we were really won over by that. And we have him high on our board to take him. So I'm not predicting he's going to go as high as Cade Horton did, but it wouldn't shock me if Gage Wood goes much higher than where we have him slotted at number 23.
All right, Sam, anybody else who you feel like we should keep an eye out for who might be, a little bit under the radar right now? And also, do you have any fun Jack Bauer anecdotes that you want to throw in?
I have a tease for Jack Bauer, if that helps. Jack Bauer was interviewed by our friend Matt Monaghan. Or not, he was not interviewed, but the Jack Bauer was.
The other Jack Bauer, the one that you probably think of right now when you think of Jack Bauer, before the new Jack Bauer, the 103 mile an hour throwing high school lefty Jack Bauer, before he takes the mantle of most notable Jack Bauer.
Yeah, Mono did interview Kiefer Sutherland, which is amazing. He does these stories all the time, right? Where it's just oh, here's this interesting pop culture-y adjacent thing to baseball. Let me just get that guy on the horn. And to his credit, watching him put that together was amazing, where he was just yeah, I'm just going to try it. We'll see what happens. And then it's just oh yeah, I'm talking to him tomorrow. And it's what, how, I would not have tried that in a million years. So that's a tease for Jack Bauer. One guy I got my eye on is Caden Bodine of the catcher from Coastal Carolina. Again, like, I don't put a ton of stock into a College World Series run, but he was one of the best players on that Coastal Carolina team that ended up being the runner-up. It's a really good hit tool for him. He's good from both sides. He's a switch hitter, puts the ball in play a ton. We've got a 40 power grade on him on the 2080 scale. But I think if teams help him get away from his flat bat path, he could end up being like a 12, 15 homer threat, but a really good fielder. And I could envision him someday, not necessarily being a superstar catcher, but being like that catcher, almost like a Jason Varitek type. You're just like, oh, we don't have to worry about catcher. Like, we are solid back there. Let's build the rest of our team out. And, in our own draft before, we were talking about this. You want to be solid up the middle. Teams that really value that and value a good approach that you can build around from there, I could see him popping into the back half of the first round. We haven't met number 32, but wouldn't be surprised if he goes like 10-ish spots higher than that.
The 2025 MLB first-year player draft coming up this weekend, kicking off on Sunday evening. Sam Dykstra will be in the house. That's what the people want. That's all anybody cares about. It's like, Sam's there? The shirtless guy from the Lazy River is going to be there?
It's true. And it's going to be my first time going to the draft. I've covered it.
First time going shirtless.
No, I'm going to maintain professionalism this time. But it would be the first time I've gone to the draft itself since it used to be held at Secaucus.
Yeah.
The MLB Network studios. So it'll be fun to experience that atmosphere, what it'll be like or at the All-Star game. The whole point of it being at the All-Star game is to get fans more involved. If you're in town for the Futures game on Saturday, first round's on Sunday, first 3 rounds are on Sunday, and then Home Run Derby Monday, All-Star game on Tuesday. We'll mention rounds 4 through 20 are on Monday.
Yeah.
Not really much for anybody to watch there, but follow along. I'll be having the running recap, notable picks through rounds 4 through 20. There's no day 3, so it's the entire rest of the draft is just happening on Monday. It might be the longest day of my professional life, or at least adjacent to the time that the Padres traded for Juan Soto and forced me to write multiple top 30 replacements in one day. But it'll be a blast. Everybody I've talked to in baseball, I've been sending a lot of emails for just trying to catch up with people before things get really crazy. But everybody's like, you know what? Yes, it is a very busy time, but it's an exciting time. This is why we do this, is to get everybody on the same stage for the Futures game and get new talent into baseball through the draft. So fun time coming up, and we'll be back to recap it all next week.
So the 2025 MLB first-year player draft coming up this weekend, the Futures game, everything else. Also, if you are unable to attend the draft on Sunday, there's a Home Run Derby X event going on Sunday afternoon at Georgia Tech at the home of the Yellow Jackets. There may or may not be a guy doing play-by-play for that who you're aware of. If you can't make it to that Home Run Derby X, we've got 5 more events coming up this season. Our next one, if you are in the area around the Round Rock Express, will be in Round Rock at the end of the month of July. You can check out the Express site to get your tickets for that one. We'll be in Oklahoma City and Des Moines. We'll be in Salt Lake to wrap up the season. We got to stop in Kansas City. There's all kinds of fun stuff coming up this year with Home Run Derby X, and you can find all of that information online as well. But if we don't see you this weekend in Atlanta, we'll see you next time at Round Rock. And coming up, we are going to step aside for a timeout. Benjamin Hill will rejoin us for Name That Dude, and then we're wrapping things up on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Final segment of this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Hey, before we wrap things up, we want to acknowledge and highlight that the Round Rock Express and the Nolan Ryan Foundation are currently partnering for flood relief for the victims of the flooding in Central Texas. And during their homestand that is going on right now, July 8th to the 13th against the Albuquerque Isotopes, this home series is currently including several different opportunities for those in attendance to contribute to flooding relief. A 50-50 raffle, the nightly 50-50 raffle, which is put on by the Nolan Ryan Foundation, will have one continuously growing pot throughout the entire homestand. So, the 50-50, you buy tickets, half of the money goes to a charitable organization and half goes to the winner of the raffle. The winner for this one will be drawn and announced on Sunday, but all of the funds raised through the entire homestand will benefit Texas flood relief. If you do get a chance to go to one of these games and you are the raffle winner, you don't have to be present to win that one. There's also a donation drive that will be going on. And with that, you can donate men's and women's hygiene products, deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste, body wash and shampoo and conditioner, feminine products, sunscreen, wet wipes and hand sanitizer, hair brushes. That is going on through Thursday. We're actually recording this on Thursday. I would assume that they will probably accept those donations through.
They can help facilitate where you're looking to get.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. On Friday, the day that you are hearing this, the game-worn and autographed Express 34 jerseys, the special edition jerseys, will be auctioned off. All of those funds will benefit Texas flood relief as well. You will be able to benefit on the MILB auction site, which is MILBauctions.com. And you can, of course, go to rrexpress.com or the Nolan Ryan Foundation, nolanryanfoundation.org, to get more information on these things. Keep an eye out. We anticipate that there are going to be other teams that'll be doing flood relief as well. That area of Texas, I mean, it is just the most heartbreaking images and stories that have come out of that. An area that's close to, my wife is from East Texas, and her parents have a place in that area in the western part of the hill country. Sam, your girlfriend Brittany, spent a lot of her life in Austin, near that area. We've got minor league family and friends all over that area, in Round Rock and San Antonio and elsewhere. So we're certainly sending our best thoughts to the people of the hill country, and do your part if you are able. Contribute through those teams, and you can of course find resources all over to help contribute to flooding relief in Texas.
Yeah, it's thanks to the Express for doing this and getting the ball rolling, and it's just another example of minor league baseball's community, not just your local community, the wide minor league baseball community. So
absolutely,
keep an eye peeled for, like you said, Tyler, other teams maybe doing something on their own as part of this, and we hate talking about it, because we hate that it exists in the world, but teams are always stepping up in this regard. So thanks to them for that.
So with that, we will get set to wrap this week's episode. But before we do, it is time for the latest and greatest edition of Name That Dude, the game show craze that is sweeping not just the nation, but dare I say the globe. And on this week's episode of Name That Dude, I'm the dude knower, which makes you guys the dude guessers. And I have been inspired for the dude of the week by a podcast hosted by a buddy of mine named Matt Cooper, who hosts a baseball podcast in Australia. Matty is an Australian. He was the assistant general manager of the Sydney Blue Sox for a time. He worked for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, the Visalia Rawhide over here for a time. Now hosts a podcast back home in Australia. And they have a similar segment of the show. It's Name That Dude-esque. Different name. But they also have a dude or a baseball topic, a question, a trivia item. And this guy came up, and I will say I was very disappointed in myself, because not only did the guessers not get this guy, I didn't get this guy either. And I was racking my brain thinking, how can I not get this guy? I was really disappointed in myself. And I feel like, Sam, you'll probably get this guy pretty easily. But we're still going to go for it. So this week's dude made his professional debut in the Boston Red Sox organization in 2002 with the Gulf Coast League Red Sox, and then with the Lowell Spinners to the RIP New York Penn League. 2003, he was in the Sally League with the then Red Sox affiliated Augusta Green Jackets. 2004, made the jump to Portland after seeing some time in Sarasota back when the Sox had a high A affiliate in the Florida State League. 2005, big league debut with the Boston Red Sox. And you may remember him as a member of the Boston Red Sox. However, he was very short-lived in Boston. He only played 2 games for the Red Sox in 2005. Then was a member of the Florida Marlins. Spent considerable time with the Marlins all the way through when they were renamed the Miami Marlins in 2012. Then he was with the Los Angeles Dodgers for a time.
Yeah, this is, yep. Go ahead.
Then the Boston Red Sox. He returned to the Boston Red Sox in 2015. Was there through 2018, spent some time in Cleveland in 2019. He had considerable stints over the offseason in the Dominican Winter League. Sam Dykstra, I think you know.
Well, I want to see, does Ben have any guesses?
I'm not sure. I mean, Mike Lowell came to my mind, but
yeah, that was one of my first thoughts.
It was a different era. I mean,
Mike
earlier.
Lowell was, yeah, he was earlier, but
Mike
had the
played for
Marlins
the Marlins.
Red Sox connection. Yeah.
It was actually came up with the Yankees.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe to the Marlins and then traded to the Red Sox. The answer is Hanley Ramirez.
The answer is Hanley Ramirez. I was so mad at myself. Hanley Ramirez was one of those guys who I just loved watching. I was so mad at myself to not have gotten that.
Hanley Ramirez, one of the great fantasy baseball players.
Yeah.
I remember pretty consistently he was like, what
he was just a numbers guy. Like every year, just put up numbers.
Hanley Ramirez. And it's funny you mention him in Portland because the first Portland Sea Dogs game I ever went to, he was the big prospect.
Oh, okay. He was a top 100 prospect like pretty quickly in his career. He was a Baseball America top 20 guy before the 2003 season. So his first full pro season, he was number 19. Then he was number 39 before 04. He was number 10 before 05, number 30 before 06. He played in the 05 Futures game. So yeah, like he was a dude.
Yeah. And he's one of the guys I remember him and like Freddie Sanchez.
Oh yeah, Freddie Sanchez.
Of just guys who I remember like, oh, this is your prize prospect.
Yeah,
like, it means something if you trade this guy away.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, so I went to Portland with my family, and we couldn't go one day because I think I got like food poisoning or I got sick, wasn't feeling very well. So we went the next day instead. Hanley had the day off.
Oh man.
But it was the Portland Sea Dogs against the Binghamton Mets. And I'm sure I could look this up because the starting pitcher that day was Yusmeiro Petit, who ended up making the majors. Like, no small thing.
Yeah.
For seeing a double-A arm. Lastings Millage was in that game. He was another big-time prospect.
Lastings Millage, huge prospect.
Yeah. Those are both big names from when I first started writing for MLB.com. I remember both those guys.
And I think the guy who did start on the infield that day, who was not a big prospect or as big a prospect at the time, and it felt like a letdown, was Dustin Pedroia. So like going to a random double-A game at in my teen years and just being like, well, let's see what this is. And I want to say Anibal Sanchez was pitching for Portland.
Okay. Another guy who ended up with the Marlins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a fairly loaded game. For being a random, I want to say it was a weekend that we went. We went for a week up in Maine, and that was like the thing we did. But
that's pretty cool.
So Hanley Ramirez had the day off, and I remember that part. But all the stars that were there. But yeah, Hanley Ramirez, one of the great prospects ever, and the fact that he came back to the Sox that year in 2015 was meant to be a homecoming, but he was kind of meant to come back as the DH and like the guy to take the mantle over from David Ortiz. Much different player by the time he returned, and didn't quite work out that way. He had a 30 homer year in 2016, but otherwise, once the legs go, and he didn't have that speed that he had earlier in his career, not exactly the same type of player.
Hanley Ramirez won the 2006 National League Rookie of the Year, and this is just like a very Marlins stat line, but there were 12 players to receive votes in the 06 National League Rookie of the Year poll. 6 of them were Florida Marlins. Hanley Ramirez won it. Ryan Zimmerman in the Nationals was second. Then Dan Ugla, then Josh Johnson at third and fourth, and then tied for ninth place with Russell Martin getting 1 vote point each. Scott Olson, Anibal Sanchez, and Josh Willingham. Josh Willingham had a really, really good season. Like, I'm kind of looking at it like, why was he so low in this balloting? But Hanley Ramirez, great career, fun player, and the dude on this week's episode of Name That Dude. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. Great to be back with you dudes. And for Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill, my name is Tyler Maughan, and we will catch you next week.